Welcome to Caching Waves. This is an Elliott Wave update on GMX. I want to thank Rejective from the comment section. He brought this to my attention and I went through and analyzed it, and it looks pretty good for a potential upside. Now we have a diagonal off the low at 2816 in a 5-wave pattern. The only thing that didn't hit ideal retracements was our extensions here for our third was just shy of the 1.236. And because of that, our 5th wave was just shy of the 1.618. We'd like to see both those ticked. It is not invalidated, but that's where it goes against the guidelines slightly. But we hit perfect retracements for our wave 2 and wave 4 between the 50 and the 618. And we got a nice 3-wave move back off that high. Now we haven't hit the 618 on log scale. We have passed through it on linear. So we'll zoom into this area in the correction and show you what we have here. Now this area, I can count it several ways. I have this as either as a flat, A, B, C, but you'd have to count this a specific way for it to be considered 5 waves, and that would be some sort of diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the issue I have with this is that our third is not very extended. So that's the not perfect count for that. Alternatively, this could get extended one more to the downside, although that's got its own problems, and that would be a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like so. And this is a super long extended 4th wave, and we get some sort of diagonal to complete. And then we get an ABC. So if we happen to fail on this breakout, I would expect one more low to the downside, and that wave starting from this pivot here. But the nice thing about this is we did hit the 1-to-1 extension as well of our A4RC. So depending how it's counted, either on a regular 3rd wave that we didn't get extensions, or if we are still in one more move to the downside potentially. So we'll go from this pivot low now on the smaller time frames. And both these counts to the downside and the upside have issues. One is the length of this wave 2, which would end up being most likely a expanded flat as a WXY. And this would be our wave 1 and wave 2. So a pretty long wave 2 if we are bullish in this scenario. And again, if we need one more to the downside, this would be our 4th wave, and this would make some sort of diagonal to the downside, one more low, and then we'd attempt recovery. But the upside potential is pretty much in the ideal spot, so I will probably take this trade setup. And where I would expect my pivots to be, I look for the 382 and the 618. For a second 1, 2. So this would most likely be a diagonal. So we'd have a 1, 2, diagonal 1, 2. Like so. Alternative options, that's a pretty deep retracement, is this would be nested 1, 2s. It'd be 1, 2, 1, 2, as you can see, and then we launch. But we'll be able to decide which count makes more sense based on the next wave, because if we absolutely launch, then obviously it would be nested 1, 2s. Otherwise, I'd look at this as a second diagonal at the 618. But in both these scenarios, this wave 2 should hold. So that's where I'll put my stop. We can recover if we make one more low, but we're getting pretty deep by this point. We'd be more likely making something complex. So for purposes of my trading, I'd put my stop at this low of the wave 2. That is at 4109, according to Binance, is where my stop would be. But when you get in these scenarios where it can be this, it can be that, you can't be scared of, monsters in the closet. Eventually the count will become obvious, but sometimes when you're in the thick of it, you just can't see it. That's why I just look at the options. We have a 1-2 with an expanded flat. potentially nested 1-2s or a diagonal 1-2. And if this happens and you miss it, you say to yourself, oh, it was so obvious. Why didn't I just take it, right? The truth is it wasn't in the moment. So if we get this move, standard extensions would be, we get our third at 52.32, come back to the 1-to-1 at 47.71. These are just generic targets. If this is our smaller 1-2. I didn't put on those pivots. Usually our third comes between 1.382 and the 1.236, so it'd be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Come back, go between the 200 and the 2.2382. So that would be our smaller 1-2 after the fact. Now, if this is nested 1-2s, you can get extensions, right? So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to take this trade. It's looking very good on the long term if we can actually turn this into a larger trend. I'm not even going to mention targets right now, but you can see the extensions up there. If we happen to be running on log scale, pretty far up there, talking about 300% moves, etc. if we are on log scale. But as of right now, looks good. I'm going to take this entry pretty much as is where it's at in case of that nesting 1-2s, and my stop's pretty close, so I'm not too concerned about getting a better entry. Right now that would be about 3-1 plus if we go to the 200, potentially higher, but this is a good spot where I would just legitimately hold it for more of a swing trade on the long term and just raise my stops and add to the position as I go. All right, guys, that's it for GMX. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Rejective, and good luck on this one. Looks good. And once again, if this is our fourth wave, we'd expect this just to turn into some sort of diagonal to finish up the wave 2. And then I'd look for a re-entry down here. But whether it's done or complete, both trade setups currently look pretty good. Okay, guys, that's it for this one. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.